Hey guys, Adam here with AmericanMuscle.com. You should be checking out the ZAutomotive Tazer Programmer for your 15 to 17 Challenger. If you're looking to take control and customize so many more options on your Challenger than you'd otherwise be able to off the factory line. This thing taps into your ECU using the OBD2 port underneath your driver's side dash to access a lot more features and give you so much more menu options using your digital cluster. It's not something you have to plug into your laptop to program. It's not something that you have a separate screen that you need. It uses all of your factory resources to unlock possibilities. Now, inside of that menu there, you'll be able to access sub-menus, things like performance, tire, comfort, lighting, and even radio. Inside of those sub-menus are a list of customizable features, more preset customizable features that allow you to turn things on and off that you wouldn't be able to from the factory. Things like your drive mode upon startup. You can change your startup mode to immediately go into sport mode, immediately go into super track pack. You can unlock SRT settings on non-SRT equipped vehicles. You can unlock boost gauges on your cluster up here to monitor boost and vacuum for superchargers and just vacuum for non-blown applications. You can access camera settings to change your vehicle camera input to show a different display on your screen. You can change animations on your cluster to go from the normal startup to a Scat Pack B animation or an SRT animation or a Hellcat logo, depending on your preference. The possibilities, like I said, are endless. Inside of the tire submenu, you can change things like your tire size to recalibrate your speedometer to read an accurate mile per hour, which can change with bigger wheels and tires or a different size wheel and tire. You can change that to perform differently on drag radials. If you're going to the track, you can change some of those tire options, which will help a lot. You can change the disabling or enabling of StabiliTrak, ABS, and traction control. That's good if you're going to the track. Line lock features can be accessed in a much easier, quicker fashion using steering controls. So if you're going to the track, you can use that a lot easier. You can access a cool down mode for guys going to the track in the staging lanes that want to reduce some of that heat soak. Turn on your engine fans, intercooler pump if you have one for Hellcat applications on high and low modes, which will help with the cool down process sitting in the staging lanes with your vehicle off. Lots of cool options there as well. Now I'll also dial into some of the other settings. There is a check CEL option or clear CEL option, CEL being the check engine light. If your check engine light comes on with this plugged in, you can read the code, get a description, and clear it as well. So it operates like a handheld tuner without needing any extra accessories. It just plugs in and gives you all the access right on your cluster. Now, some of those options are vehicle settings and some of them are live functions. Those vehicle settings are things that you don't need this plugged in at all times in order to operate. So basically what that means is vehicle settings, some of those menus I'll walk you through, you'll plug this guy in and unlock them, like startup drive function, your SRT functions and super track pack modes. Once you unlock them, you can unplug it and it still exists. Now, when you want to use live functions, those are some of the options that you need this plugged in at all times to use. Cool down mode, light shows. You can customize some of your lights if you're going to a car show and want to show off a little bit. You'll need this plugged in order to use some of those functions. All of these functions are broken down in an instruction manual also included in the kit from ZAutomotive because there are pages of different options that you can modify with this thing. I'm going to walk you through a lot of the really important stuff. I'll break down all of the sub-menus in just a little bit. Know that this device does come in right around $250, which I think is a worthwhile price because it does give you access to a ton of things that nothing else in the category unlocks. Some of those handheld custom tuners give you access to a lot of basic things, but nothing like the electronic functions that this has. So this is a very unique product that I think is justified in the price. Now, the install, I'm gonna give 1 out of 3 wrenches on our difficulty meter. Anybody can tackle this in the driveway at home with about 5 minutes. Really, it's just a matter of plugging it in and it automatically gives you access. The first thing you'll do is marry this to the vehicle so it can learn your stock functions and allow you to return that at any time, but it's also going to immediately give you access to your functions on the dash. Now, you'll be able to access that through the audio menu on your factory settings, and I'll show you guys what all of that looks like in just a minute. Know that it'll take you a little bit more time to customize all the settings because there are so many, and it may take you a day or two to familiarize yourself with some of those shortcuts. So what do you say? I stop talking, we plug this guy into the OBD2, and we get started. All right, kicking off the install here, it is pretty simple. It'll take you about 2 seconds. You're gonna take the OBD2 dongle that says Tazer. It's really the only thing included in the kit that you're gonna need for this. You're gonna take this and plug it into the OBD2 port underneath your driver's side dashboard, which is located roughly above where your clutch pedal would be. We're gonna go straight underneath and plug her in. All right, so when you plug it in, you'll be able to see that blinking light at the bottom. All right, kicking things off, the first thing we want to do is marry our Tazer device to our vehicle. Now, in order to do that, and everything else really, we're going to focus on our center cluster or our dash screen. Now, what we're going to do first is with our feet off the pedals, we're going to put our vehicle into accessories mode just by pressing that push button one time. Again, no feet on the pedals. We'll let that dash screen boot up. From here, you want to navigate the main menu using your steering controls to the audio screen. That's where your settings menu will be for your Tazer device. We're going to navigate down, fuel economy, trip info, audio. Now, in order to access the menu for the Tazer, we're going to use these buttons on our steering wheel. Now, mainly we're going to be using the left arrow and the cancel button on the right-hand side. So these are your cruise control buttons and these are your selecting buttons. So again, arrow keys and the cancel button. The select button that we'll be using is also going to be your cruise button in the middle here. So those are a couple of key things to know before we jump in. Now, to access the menu for the Tazer, you're going to hold the left arrow and you're going to press cancel while holding that. As you can see, the audio menu changed and now says light show with a question mark. That's opening up your Tazer menu. That is menu option number 1. You're going to basically use those two functions that I just said, left arrow, holding down, and pressing cancel to navigate the menu. I know it might seem logical that you'd want to hit the down arrow to scroll down, but it's not how it works. You're going to hold the left arrow, press cancel, and it'll shuffle to the next option. See, it says key not on. So now that we've accessed the menu, I'm going to press that one more time, and it'll take us into the run section. So you want to press that start button one more time, again without starting the engine. So now we're back here. Left arrow holding, pressing cancel, key not on, light show, press again, clear CELs. We'll get back into that in just a little bit. What we want to focus on here is marry. Now, in order for us to select marry, because that's what we want to do before we can have access to the full menu, what we're going to need to do is hold the left arrow and press the cruise button, the center on the right, to select marry. All right, so now we can let go of the buttons, and as you can see, it's counting down. So this is going to marry the device to the vehicle, and once that starts happening after it counts down, you want to make sure you're not unplugging the device, you're not turning the vehicle off. Let it do its thing. It will let you know when it's done. All right, so after 10 seconds or 11 seconds approximately, lets us know married. From here, we can press left and cancel again to scroll through more of the menu. So again, you have to be married to the vehicle before you have full access to its controls. All right, now that we have this married, let's walk through what some of the sub-menu options are. And then from there, we'll break the sub-menus into all of their individual settings. Now, before we do that, I want to note two things. There are two different types of menu options. There are vehicle settings, and then there's live functions. The vehicle settings, and I'll highlight what some of those are throughout this walkthrough here, those vehicle settings are options that will continue to operate after you unplug the Tazer device from the OBD2. Live functions are things that are controlled on the fly with the Tazer device plugged in that will not continue to operate when it's unplugged. So that's worth knowing, and I'll walk you through what some of those are as we get to them. Now, from the menu here, we're going to walk through some of those sub-menus. There's lighting, and again, I'm holding the left arrow and hitting cancel to walk through. Comfort, then this is the software version. There's also a full reboot mode, which is what you need to do anytime you make any setting changes. There's light show, clear CELs, unmarry, performance, tire, radio, and then we're back to lighting. So let's head back up to the top of the menu and we'll walk through them. So the first thing I want to jump into is performance. So in order to select it, left arrow and the cruise button on the right. Now, Sport 8-speed mode, if equipped, which from the factory it is, it changes the shift pattern essentially from park, reverse, neutral, drive to park, reverse, neutral, drive, sport. So it enables sport mode in those 8-speed equipped vehicles. So we'll hit cancel, which is essentially just going to take us to the next option. SRT set is set to no. Now, SRT mode will essentially turn on if you hit on, and this will add the SRT splash screen to the center dash, which is essentially more of just an aesthetics type of deal. Doesn't actually affect any performance or any electronics. It's essentially just changing your background and the way that it loads up in the screensaver mode. Now, if you want to hit yes, you would hold left arrow and hit cruise, and that would change to yes. Now that is going to also add SRT drive modes to the 15 and newer scat packs. So as you can see, it automatically went to vehicle info, which gave us this new engine torque gauge. So that's something you can select there as well. Now if we head back down to audio, we'll go right back into the menu. So there you go. So now you can see it's set to yes. Let's scroll through the next option. Performance set. Now this one's automatically set to yes because we do have the scat pack. Now this will basically add the SRT performance pages to your radio function. Now that's already there if you have the scat pack. If not, this will say no, and you can turn that on and have that functionality. STP is Super Track Pack. This one is enabled again. It is a track pack, it is a scat pack, so it has those enabled already, but if not, you can hit yes, and that will enable the Dodge Performance Configurations app on your Uconnect. Paddles, no. Now because we have a 6-speed, we do not have shift paddles, but if you add factory shifter paddles, you can turn those on using this menu function. Now this menu option says steer scat. Now you can toggle these between scat and SRT modes. Now if you have the SRT setting, which we'll get to, if that is turned on, then you want to change this option to SRT as well. This allows scat pack owners essentially to use track steering firmness from the SRT. It's a good useful thing to have as well. We're going to go ahead and toggle that, SRT. Here it says drive mode. Now drive mode is something that would be useful for guys who want to work with this in conjunction with the Super Track Pack mode. This one is automatically enabled as scat, but if you do not have the scat pack, you can change those in conjunction to work together. Transmission mode, this is going to work in conjunction with Super Track Pack as well, and will definitely enable Dodge performance apps and the engine transmission settings within that app. So if you want to change some of those trans settings and engine settings, you can do so with this functionality. Shift light. Now this will enable the factory shift light functions for 2015 and newer. Now ours are turned off from the factory, but if you have it on and you want to turn it off or vice versa, you can do that through here. Not a lot of guys like that shifter function or the shift light function. Eco mode, it's a scat pack. Our owner of this vehicle let us know he definitely does not want eco mode on, but the option is there for you. All right, so that's the end of performance. Performance as a whole focuses on some of the gauge menu options, some of the scat to SRT performance functions that may or may not be enabled depending on your trim level. A lot of these do work in conjunction with each other, like drive modes and steering work with the SRT modes. So like I said, if you're enabling one, you may want to enable the other to get full functionality, but performance basically highlights a lot of those options, some of which are those vehicle settings that would stay unlocked even if the device is removed. It's things like SRT mode. All right, the next menu option in the sequence here is tire. Now, there's not a whole lot of tire options, but I'll just quickly run you through what they are. If you select that, you can do a TPMS pressure monitoring system alteration. Now, most people won't change this, but it's good when using drag radials or winter tires when the sensors aren't really present, or if you have them removed with aftermarket wheels and tires or anything like that. They can be none, base, premium. None is essentially disabling it. Base is for the system that allows low pressure warning lights to come on, and premium is the system that shows individual tire pressures. So you can go through that and change at will, but it's really contingent upon aftermarket tires, like I said, drag radials, or even just snow tires. So if we select from there, next option is going to be the individual pressures. You can change front and rear tire pressure, so we'll just buzz through that really quick. Obviously you can change front, rear. Right now they're at 32. All right, so the last option in the tire submenu is tire circumference. Now this has 2235M, which is essentially the circumference in millimeters. You can change this setting based on the change in tire size. So again, if you have aftermarket wheels and tires, you'll probably want to go in and change this tire circumference to match what your aftermarket wheels are. If you have larger wheels on your Challenger, that can throw off speedometer calibration by sometimes a couple up to 5-7 miles per hour. So if you're actually going 50 miles an hour, your speedometer may read 57 or it may read 43. So it's a good option to use when you change your tire size. So that option is there. We're going to keep it as is because we are running stock wheels. From here, I'm going to hit next. and it takes us back to the submenu. All right, next one says radio, but it's really not audio driven. It's more things that happen on your actual touchscreen radio. So we'll select that guy and buzz through some of these. Camera enabled. If you have a factory backup camera, you probably don't have to worry about this. It's already there and enabled. But if you add an aftermarket backup camera to a vehicle that did not come with one from the factory, you want to turn on yes to get full functionality of that on your screen in the center console. Now that option is there, and that kind of goes hand in hand with a cargo cam. If you have an aftermarket cargo cam, that'll be the next option. We do not, so we're going to keep it as no. Backup camera grid lines. So essentially, if you add an aftermarket one, you can enable grid lines to help with, aligning things on your screen. Next option would be DVD CD. This setting adds the CD input on your radio for use as an aux input, particularly if adding a media player or DVD player. So I know that sounds like gibberish, but essentially if you add a DVD player, an aftermarket player, you can enable that here to get functionality on your screen. Travel Link. Now this setting adds the ability to disable SiriusXM Travel Link, which turns off the weather pop-ups. So you can hit yes, you can disable it with no. We're gonna leave that as is. All right, next up we have lighting. So this one's gonna be interesting for some guys who may add fog lights or wanna change DRLs. So let's jump right into it. We're gonna go into lighting. DRL type. Now this, you want to choose USA. If you're in USA, you can change it to Canada. So this is more of just a geographic setting. If you select it, you can go to none. It basically uses these time zones to help alter your location. So we're going to keep that guy on USA. DRL lock turn. So this is essentially DRL location. This can change which lights actually are used as a DRL or daytime running light. Now this can vary depending on your model. There are dedicated DRLs, SRT DRLs, turns, fogs, highs, and low beams. So you can change what you want your DRLs to be. From the factory, they're set on turn. We're gonna leave them at turn, but you have the ability to change that. Now this is something I think a lot of people are going to use, DRL drop. Essentially, when you hit your turn signal, it turns off your daytime running light as the turn signals blink. That's what yes is. But if you hit no, this will keep the daytime running lights on when your turn signals are in play. We're gonna turn that off because I do think it's pretty cool to have your DRL stay on when your turn signals turn on as well. So that's an option there. You can move on to the next one. This is essentially going to enable fog light use if you added aftermarket fog lights. Similar to the DRL drop, you have a fog light drop. Now fog lights turn off when you use your high beams. If you want that to stop, if you want your fog lights to stay on, change that to no. All right, and that takes us back to the submenu. Let's jump into comfort. That's gonna be our next option. Now, your first selection is splash none. Now, it's set to none from the factory, but if we toggle through this, your splash is essentially going to change what startup menu animation is played on certain vehicles. So there's Hellcat. Hellcat is not recommended for 3.6 or 5.7 vehicles, but the option is there. Shaker logo will display if you have shaker. Scat will have the B animation. We have a scat pack, so I'm gonna turn on the scat animation and we'll be able to move from there, but it's all personal preference. The seatbelt ding. If your seatbelt is unbuckled, you can turn off that annoying ding that plays. Now, guys, I have to say it, you always want to wear your seatbelt. You want to follow the law. You want to be safe. But if the annoying seatbelt ding is driving you crazy as you back out of the driveway, or if you're in the parking lot just trying to find that parking spot, you can turn that guy off. Even if you turn off that ding as we have, your seatbelt animation or that seatbelt logo here on the dash, the light will stay on if your seatbelt's unbuckled. So that does not change. The next option here is going to be Easy Exit. Now, Easy Exit's great for the vehicles equipped with an electronically moving steering wheel and an electronically moving seat. Now, our seat is electronically controlled, but our steering wheel isn't. Essentially, Easy Exit, if you turn on, when you turn your vehicle off, your seat will move to its full back position to make it easier for you to get in and out, and the steering wheel will retract back into the dash to make it easier as well. Now, we don't have an electronic steering wheel, but we do have an electronic seat, so I'm gonna hit on. and we'll hit cancel again just to move forward to the next one. This next option is your firmware version. We've seen that before, but it's somehow in the comfort options. That's a little silly, but now once you make all the changes that you want to make, you'll want to jump into a full reboot. Now what this will basically do is it'll take about 2, maybe 2.5 minutes to complete, and it should be performed anytime you make any changes. Now the Uconnect will reboot twice during the full reboot. When it's done, the red security dot on the dash will turn on and back off. Now, once that's done, you'll shut the vehicle off, open and close the door, wait for a minute to be sure the dash turns off, and you'll be good to go. So there's a couple of fail-safe you want to check. So we're going to do that since we made a couple of changes to the menus. We'll select full reboot. So the reboot obviously is counting down. It's about 2.5 minutes. We'll count down from about 150, 160 seconds, and then we'll come back when it's done. All right, so now that that's taken care of, I want to show you a couple of other live menu options that need the device to be plugged in order to function. And in order for us to access that menu, our vehicle does need to be on for this. So previously, we've just had it in the run position with the engine off. So let's turn the engine on and access some of the additional functions. All right, so here you can see it automatically changed. We can see a couple of things flashing. So let's scroll through that. Radio type, you can change what the radio is in your car. We're gonna keep that the same. In motion nav, essentially, if you turn this on, you'll be able to input address information into your navigation screen while in motion, which really isn't a factory setting. Now that's automatically on here on our device, so we're not gonna play with that, but the option is there. Auto Sport on, if you have this on, every time you start the vehicle, it'll automatically jump into sport mode. Traction Kill on. This, when enabled, will effectively press the traction button for you every time the vehicle is turned on. That turns off traction control. Now we're gonna turn that off because that can be a little unsafe on a daily, day-to-day basis. The customer who owns this car may not want that, but the option is there for you off the bat. Boost gauge, definitely gonna turn this on, especially for supercharged vehicles like we have here. It will track a boost gauge on your screen that will track boost and vacuum. For non-supercharged applications, it will only track vacuum. All right, so then we can jump into video. If you select video, video back, there's a couple of video options, video front, video auxiliary. It basically changes the video input. We're gonna keep it on video back because backup camera, that's what we want our video input to be. Peak RPM, it'll track and record what your peak RPM reaches, which is a good option if you want to track that type of engine vital at the track. Again, firmware off, back to light show. Vehicle light show is an activation of exactly what it sounds like, a light show. If you're going to a car show, that's probably when you'll use this the most. You can have up to 6 of the different preset light shows off the bat, which is essentially going to control headlight functions. It'll flash your fog lights in a certain order, just to give it a little bit more of an aesthetic appeal when you're at the car show. We have light show 1 on, and I can already see our fog lights and headlights flashing. All right, so what this is basically doing is it's turning on and off turn signals and hazard lights and your high beams and low beams and fog lights and just playing with them in a certain order. You can change some of the other light show settings as well. There are up to 9 available. 6 are preset and 3 of them are custom. So what you see here is light show 2. See light show 3. It's really just different settings. Here's light show 4. There's 5, changing up some of those settings. It looks like a lot more high beam action happening there in sync with some turn signals. Light show 6. The rest are customizable, so you can change what you want to happen, and all that can be done in the settings menu as well. Now, one thing to keep in mind here, guys, is there's cooldown mode. Now, cooldown mode can be accessed by holding the right arrow key and using the cruise control cancel button. If we hold and press it once, it turns our engine fan on. This is great for guys who are going to the track who are looking for an easy way to cool down the engine with the engine off. while in the staging lanes. So heat soak obviously can be an issue, and you want to keep it as cool as possible. So right arrow and cancel turns that engine fan on when your vehicle is off, but the ignition is in the run position. So just like we were using in the beginning of the walkthrough. Now for Hellcats, if you were to press this again, it would turn your intercooler pump on. One more time, the fan low end pump would go on. Again for fan high end pump, and then again to turn it off. We have an RT, we do not have a Hellcat, so if you press this one more time, it just shuts cool down mode off, but other models have more options. The last thing I want to talk about, which I really can't show you at this point, would be line lock. Now there's access or quicker access to line lock when the vehicle is running. If you're in a safe environment or if you're about to do a pass at the track, you can hold the left or back arrow and the set plus button on your cruise control and hold them. It will enable line lock. Then you can pump the brake pedal twice and then hit the gas, and it'll hold your brakes, do your burnout. It's essentially enabling line lock. It's a quicker access to it. Of course, I can't show you this. We're in a studio. I'm not going to do a quick burnout here, but it is there for guys in safe environments that want to use a quicker access to line lock. Now guys, I just wanted to take a quick second to let you know that of course we walked through all of our menu options, our vehicle settings, and some of our live functions that are displayed on the actual settings on our screen, but there are a ton of different things that you can do that aren't in a settings menu. There are quick access functionalities with this that you can program, that you can take advantage of. Things like the full disabling or enabling of StabiliTrak, ABS, and traction control. You can change camera input settings. You can change settings to account for a cluster swap. If you swapped in a 15 plus cluster to an older gen Challenger, you can change settings there. There's more settings that enable or disable shifting capabilities on your steering wheel. You can upshift and downshift automatics using set plus and set minus, or up arrow and down arrow. That's so customizable. The number of things that you can do with this program are really endless. There's so much available. So it'd be really difficult to show you every single feature here, but know that there is an instruction manual included in the kit to help you with some of those fine tuning of customizations. But really, the possibilities are endless. All right, with that said, that's gonna wrap up my review and install for the ZAutomotive Tazer Programmer for your Challenger. Now, if you wanna unlock so much more capability with your vehicle, you can pick this up right here at AmericanMuscle.com.